Hey guys, this is your girl Jennifer Lynn, the crown jewel, prophetic voice, and certified life coach for women who desire marriage. If you are a woman that desires marriage and you know that you are in your wife season and you would like to sign up for a coaching session, you can find that link down below under the description of this video. I also have an author's class available. If you have always desired to write a book and you have said, this is the year I want to put out my book and become an author, you can also find the link under the description for that course. Okay, guys, so today we are revisiting a topic that I did a video on about a month ago. But for whatever reason, this topic, it seems to keep coming up. It seems to keep coming up. But apparently, there are many of God ordained spouses out there that feels this way. And so, one of the people that watched one of my recent videos, they left a comment, and their comment was, or they had a question, and their question was, what if I don't want my spouse back? What if I don't want my spouse back? Now, like I said, I just did a video on this about a month ago because someone else had the exact same question. So you guys will have to check out that video. I'll also include the link down below in the description. And so here we go again. Okay, so what if I don't want my spouse back? There are some questions that I want you to ask yourself if you don't want your spouse back. Okay, so number one, did God tell you that this person was your spouse? Did God tell you that this person is, in fact, your spouse? Has God given you multiple confirmations that this is the person that He wants you to be with? If God has said that this is your person, but you are saying you don't want them, you have to ask yourself, why is it that you don't want them back? So that's number two. Why don't you want them back if God has given you all these confirmations? Okay. And so, even with the first one, I want you to make a list of every confirmation that God is giving you that this person is your spouse. So, number two, once again, why don't you want them back? And so it could be for many different reasons. I want you to really ask yourself, why don't you want them back? It could be for because of unforgiveness. You have unforgiveness in your heart for them, because of hurt and betrayal. Could it be the way that they are currently living? Maybe right now they are a prodigal, they're out in the world living a very reckless life. Could it be that they're with a counterfeit? Could it be rejection? All of these things are things that will make us not want to be with our person because of the way that they have treated us. Okay, so I want you to ask yourself, why is it that you don't want them back? Okay, so number three, I want you to begin to ask God to heal you in the areas that you need to be healed in, because there's obvious that there's, some healing that may need to be done because you're saying that you don't want them back, and that's very much understandable. Many of us, we've been through a lot with these journeys when it comes to the God ordained love story, the kingdom spouse love story, the kingdom partner love story, whatever you call it. Many of us, we've been through a lot, okay? And so what you're feeling is very natural. Okay, it's very natural, but you don't want to continue to have unforgiveness in your heart. You don't want to continue to be bound by being hurt and feeling betrayed. You don't want to continue to be bound by rejection if that's what's going on. So you have to be able to begin to deal with these things and talk to God about healing you in the areas that you need to be healed in so you can move forward. Okay. And so I want you to evaluate also. This is number 4. Evaluate who you are listening to when it comes to your love story and when it comes to your spouse. Now, if your spouse has hurt you, they've betrayed you, maybe there are family and friends that were around you and they witnessed you going through this hurt and betrayal. Maybe they witnessed you going through the rejection. Maybe they witnessed, your spouse maybe running off to a counterfeit or whatever the case may be. And so if they have witnessed this, maybe they're possibly talking about your spouse in a bad way, and so that can cause us to feel some type of way when people are bringing up situations that we have not fully taken the time to deal with. So again, who are you listening to? Are you listening to people that are talking about divine replacement? You're believing that God is going to give you a new person even though he has told you that this is your person. So we have to evaluate who we are listening to. Okay. And so, first and foremost, we want to make sure we're listening to God above all. Because one thing that I can tell you, if this person is in fact your spouse, the enemy will use your family members and friends to try to sway you away from your spouse, to try to keep your love story from coming together. He will use voices on social media that will talk about divine replacement, even if that's just their beliefs. The enemy is going to try to do everything he can to keep you from having what God has promised you. So, again, like I said, number 1 is going to be the most important question. Did God tell you that this is your spouse? Okay. So, like I said, evaluate who you are listening to when it comes to your spouse. Okay, and number 5, do you believe that God is capable of changing the heart of your spouse? Do you believe that God is capable of changing the heart of your spouse? Okay, and so a lot of times people don't believe that change is possible because of all the things that a person has done. Maybe they've done so much, you just don't see them crossing over to the other side and living life in a better way, living life according to how God has told you that they can live, living life just as a totally different and new person. Okay. And so, like I said, you may feel like that they're not capable of change, but how many people know that we serve a powerful and a mighty God? Have you ever seen people change in your life outside of your spouse? Have you seen changes within yourself that you didn't even know was possible that God has done in your life? And you can now say, wow, 10 years ago, I was such a different person. I'm so different now. I can't even believe how much God has changed me. And so, if that is the case, why don't you believe that God can change your spouse? Okay, so we have to begin to look at these things. Okay, and number 6, do you feel like you're capable of forgiving your spouse? Do you feel like, even if let's just say, for whatever reason, God told you that this wasn't your person, but for whatever reason you thought that this was your person, are you capable of still forgiving them for the things that they did to you and put you through? We have to be able to find forgiveness in our hearts for everyone that has wronged us in some type of way. Okay? Because God has forgiven us. He's forgiven us for all the things that we've done. Okay? And so that's something I want you to think about. Are you capable of forgiving your spouse? Okay? Okay, and number 7, if you feel like you are at a place where you don't want to be with your spouse, Like I said, these are natural feelings because of things that you have been through with your spouse. If you feel like you are at a place where you cannot forgive your spouse, I would suggest that you focus on, for right now, focus on healing, asking God to heal you in the areas that you need to be healed in. Focus on forgiveness, asking God to give you a new heart. Focus on purpose. Now, this is the time for you to be able to do all the things that you have wanted to do with your life, the things that God has told you that you can do. And lastly, focusing on submitting to the will of God, asking God to help you to submit to His will, whatever that may be. If His will is for you to be with this spouse, whatever His will is, may it be. Okay. A lot of people, they talk about free will. And like I said, I don't believe in free will, because at the end of the day, God is going to have His way. He'll let us do what we want to do for so long, but I feel like there's going to be, when we're going against what God has told us to do and we're walking into our so called free will, there's things that come along with that that's not going to be that pleasant. And that's when we're going to get the revelation that we have to ultimately submit to the will of God. And so I want to give you guys scripture, John 5:30. I can do nothing on my own initiative. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I do not seek my own will, but the will of Him who sent me. So again, we have to be able to come into agreement with the will of God, whatever that may be. He knows what's best for us. We think that we know what's best, but He knows what is best because He created us. He knows everything about us. So we have to trust Him and know that He has us on His mind and He has the very best in mind for us. So I hope that was helpful, guys. That is it. That is all. This is your girl, Jennifer Lynn, the crown jewel, and I will talk with you guys next time.